Hi, everyone. My name is Stacey Adelman, and I'm a registered psychologist and owner at Joshua Tree Learning Center here in Regina, Saskatchewan. And every Tuesday at 12, we go live talking about a whole variety of different topics. And my apologies, last week I intended to go live, but I couldn't get the camera on my computer working for some reason. But we're back up and running today. And I really wanted today to talk about depression in teens in particular. So one of the reasons I really wanted to address this topic is I feel like it's an area that can potentially really be misunderstood. And I think as adults, we need to better understand how depression shows up, particularly in teens, and how it can look differently in teens than how it looks or presents in adults. So it's an area that also I think causes a lot of confusion for parents because where do we find the line? When is it, kind of that teenage moodiness, kind of angst, changes in hormones, kind of that time of life that teens are going through? And when does it become depression or something we need to seriously take a look at and provide guidance and intervention and support for? So I wanted to try and clarify a little bit about that for parents in today's talk. So basically, teen depression can actually be quite prevalent. In fact, 1 in 5 teens will experience depression during their teenage years. So it's something we're seeing quite a bit of. The good news is it's highly treatable, and there's a lot that we can do to help our teens navigate and go through this and be resilient through it. And what we know about teen depression is it goes beyond just the typical kind of moodiness that we might see. And most specifically, you're going to see it affect all areas of their life. All right. So, what are some of the signs that we might see in teen depression? You're going to find that negative mood is a lot more persistent. So, you're there. It's not like these ups and downs, but it's more of a constant low, significant difficulty, just feeling joy. Problems at school tend to show up primarily with concentration and focus. We might see increased absences from school. We might also see like a lot more frustration and grades dropping. We also may see changes in who they're hanging around with at school, either withdrawing completely or hanging around with a totally different crowd that's quite different from who they were hanging around with before. Um, Sometimes we'll see a loss of interest in activities. So perhaps they were signed up for, maybe their soccer or track or music or whatever those activities were, and they start dropping out, just not showing any more interest in participating in those activities. When depression is a bit more severe, it can even present as running away from home. We might see abuse of substances, alcohol, or drug use. We'll see persistent low levels of self esteem, lots of phone use. I know our teens and all of us use our phones quite excessively, but you'll see excessive phone use and that really increases the isolation. And you might also see reckless behavior. So either driving recklessly or use of substances or um, sexual behaviors seem out of control. You might also see it show up through anger, bullying, violence with others. And then another thing to really take a look at home might be sudden changes in their sleep patterns or sudden changes in their eating habits. So as you can see, it's really it's more than moodiness. It's disrupting their education, their social life, their family life, and their day-to-day joy of life. It's persistent and affecting all areas of their life. So I think sometimes what happens with depression is we have this idea of what depression should look like this persistent sadness. And that is certainly true. However, in teens, what we really want to pay attention to would be persistent annoyance or anger. So just anger outbursts. Typically, depression in teens is going to show up as anger. And that's something we really want to pay attention to. The anger as parents can be really difficult for us to deal with. Maintain our patience and try to understand. But what is often driving a lot of that anger and that annoyance is a lot of pain. So we need to be able to try to see beyond the behavior and try to understand it as such. Sometimes what we see in teens is a lot of unexplained kind of aches and pains, stomach aches, headaches. Those are things we really want to pay attention to. If there's no medical reason for those aches and pains, we could be looking at potential signs of depression. Often there's going to be in teens, particularly that are depressed, there'll be extreme sensitivity to criticism, and you'll see them really start to withdraw. Teens are typically withdrawing quite a bit from their parents at this stage of development, and we really want to pay attention if they start withdrawing from their friends. They may keep some social relationships, but they may be few and they might be with different peers than they typically hang out with. So maybe getting with a crowd that isn't typical of their personality or who they might typically hang around with. And so just take note of withdrawal. That's where social media and the phone use can be really problematic because it really increases that level of withdrawal and isolation, which leads to more and more teen depression. So as a parent, what do we do if we're not sure, right? So pay attention, parents, to how long is this behavior going on? So all of us typically go through highs and lows in our lives for a variety of different reasons. So if we're able to come out of that depressed mood, it's not typically indicative of depression per se. But if we're finding with your teen that that is typical, persistent behavior over a length of time, then it's cause for concern. So I would just start documenting it and really paying close attention to how long is this behavior continuing? How severe is the behavior? Is this person really acting out of character? So how severe is the effect on the individual, on the family, on their school? And does that severity seem to be worsening over time? And how different are they from their usual self? If this is just not typical behavior for them, then this is something to really take note of and investigate a little bit further. What are the causes of teen depression? There's a variety of different causes. So we can look at biological reasons such as genetics. There's also several environmental and social kind of constructs or conditions that can lead to depression. Bullying, or maybe it's comorbid with other mental health disorders such as anxiety or ADHD or substance abuse or so on. It could also be because they're just going through a lot of stressful experience, either in the present or in the past. There may be a lack of social support either at home or at school. So at home, perhaps there's a teen struggling with their sexual identity that maybe is in a home where there's not a lot of support or acceptance of that. That can considerably affect it. Or drug abuse, right? If there's drug use, we know that that's considerably going to contribute to symptoms of depression. All right, so how as parents do we help our kids if we're suspecting that our teen may be suffering from depression? Probably the number one thing I hear from teens is just listen, don't lecture. Kids want to be validated, seen, and heard, and they want us to understand that the feelings they have are valid, that they are experiencing pain. They don't want solutions. They want to be seen, and they want to have their feelings noticed. So something as simple as being quiet, holding space, and saying things such as, I hear you, I'm so glad you told me, I can see that this is really hurting you. We're here to support you. Um, I'm hearing that you're really struggling with friends or with anger, or you're feeling really out of control or stressed, and we are here to help you with that. So try to reiterate or say back what it is they're saying to you. It might be really hard for them to talk about their feelings, particularly with a parent. So just be really, really gentle, but persistent. So we need to, they might kind of be angry or upset at us. And we want to make sure that we just keep going back and being persistent with encouraging them to get the help they need, and that we are there to guide and support them, and so on and so forth. Um, Trust your gut. I always say parents know their kids better than anybody else. And if something feels off, parents, it is. Trust your gut. You are not overreacting. Get the support you need. If your child isn't open to talking with a professional, parents, talk with a professional and try to provide, um, get some of the guidance and support that might help you interact with your teen and get to a place where they might feel more comfortable. Um, we really want to encourage our teens to maintain social connection. So whether that's, maybe initially with family and friends, just try to encourage that. If they're not going out and doing things with friends, get them to join you as much as possible, trying to take them out of the house and keeping them socially connected and engaged with you. Um, and provide as much face-to-face time with them as possible through meals, through stopping in their room and checking in on them, having short, gentle conversations with them, even if they seem grouchy with us. It is really, really critical that we keep showing up and we keep trying to maintain that connection with them. Get them involved as much as possible. Try to find something that motivates them and then nurture the heck out of that. Um, Volunteerism would be really super helpful. I find a lot of individuals that are struggling actually tend to really gravitate towards animals. Maybe it's the arts and getting them involved in art or some kind of creative pursuit. Just really try to take their lead and then guide them in that direction where they're showing any kind of interest. Focus on their physical health. So invite them to go for walks with you. Encourage them to participate in things like bike rides or, joining you in some yoga in your home. And it doesn't have to be long. If it's just 5 or 10 minutes of some kind of physical activity, that can really have a profound effect. Um, Prepare nutritious meals and snacks and have a lot of good nutritious things available in your home. Nutrition significantly rather affects our mental health. And then also ensure that they're getting lots of sleep. So at least 9 to 10 hours of sleep. Teenage brains are growing and changing rapidly, and they need a lot of sleep. So making sure they're getting to bed early, shutting down the Wi-Fi if they're on social media late at night. We want to get them into those habits of getting to bed as early as possible and getting enough sleep. Um, Lastly, seek out and explore professional help, whether that be through, a professional counselor, social worker, registered psychologist. You can also talk with your family doctor and try to get your healthcare team working with you and with your child, and take their guidance in regards to any potential treatments, whether that be medication or routine blood work and checks. We just want to surround your child with a healthcare team. And the reason I like that is because if our parent or if our kids, sorry, can't come to us, they know that they have a psychologist on their team, they have a doctor on their team, maybe they have a counselor at their school on their team or a special teacher on their team. So we're trying to build and expand their network. It's really critical that they know that they don't have to just go to a psychologist for help, but there's many individuals on their team who can guide, and we can all work together to give them the support that they require. Lastly, rejoice in the small wins. Sometimes they seem small and insignificant, but man, when somebody's coping with depression, those are big wins. And don't take them for granted. Celebrate together, acknowledge them, make a big deal of them, because small steps add up and they're really taking you places. So stay connected, celebrate the small wins, and parents, get some help for yourself as well, because this is a difficult road for parents and it's hard on our hearts. And we as parents need to support ourselves so that we can support our kids. So please feel free to contact any of us here at Joshua Tree Learning Center for support for yourself as a parent or for your teen. We are happy to help many wonderful individuals on our team here. If we can't provide the support, we are more than happy to guide you to people that can. So please reach out to us. We are always here to help, and stay connected and take care of ourselves. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next week at 12 o'clock on Tuesday. Take care, everyone.